All right, it is late again. We are just doing late live streams anymore. But welcome in, guys. Glad to see you late on this Thursday night. Jaxson Dart just went to the New York Giants. The most likely outcome. I mean, if you listen to Hey Dad Now on the radio, we spent all week talking about this exact scenario being the most likely one. And sure enough, Jaxson Dart is a New York Giant, the 25th overall pick in the draft. Also, Walter Nolen goes 16 overall. Still a chance, obviously, to take for another Ole Miss player, specifically Trey Amos, to sneak into the first round. But hold on, give me just 1 second here. Anyway, sorry about that. Not surprising that Jaxson Dart is the second quarterback off the board. If you've been paying attention to all of the conversation around the quarterback position in this draft, there was a chance. The closer we got to the draft, the chance of Dart being the second quarterback taken just continued to increase and increase and increase. So we're talking about that tonight on this very late edition of the Rebel Report. Again, my name is Michael Borky. I really appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Wherever you get your podcast, just search Rebel Report and subscribe and be a rating and leave a rating, not be a rating, leave a rating and a review. This edition of the podcast is brought to you in part by Toyota of Brookhaven. They're on exit 40 in Brookhaven, but also check them out online. ToyotaofBrookhaven.com is the website. The car buying experience is a difficult one. It's a frustrating one. And you want to do it with people that are actually going to care about you. And that's what will happen to you at Toyota of Brookhaven. They will treat you like a person, not just dollar signs. Also, by the way, tell them I sent you. Get $1,000 off on me. $1,000 off on me on any in-stock new Toyota. They have outstanding interest rates as well. If you're looking for a new truck, their Tundra is great. They have a service department that's open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., one of the highest rated in the state. I'm telling you, you don't have to live in Brookhaven to reap the benefits of having your car buying experience at Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out, toyotaofbrookhaven.com. So, even though Walter Nolen went first, actually, let's start with Walter Nolen. He went first. He deserves the flowers tonight. He went number 16 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. First defensive lineman taken in the first round since Robert Kimdichie. First round pick for Ole Miss since Evan Ingram in 2017. Been quite some time since Ole Miss has had a night this significant, and Walter Nolen going to Arizona. You guys probably saw it on the broadcast, and it was right. I mean, it was correct that there was a narrative, and probably an accurate one, about Walter Nolen during his time at Texas A&M. They talked about it on all three of the broadcast, basically, where there was questions about his motor. There was questions about taking plays off. There was questions about the desire really for him on the field. And as we talked about many times on here before, that was the narrative about him. But you guys watched every game he played in an Ole Miss uniform. I watched every game he played in an Ole Miss uniform. That narrative flipped on its head, or at least it should have, because of the way he played at Ole Miss. And sure enough, the Cardinals saw that as well, and he goes number 16 overall. And, I mean, obviously it's a big deal for Walter, of course, right? But I do think it is it's a big deal for Ole Miss, not only because getting first-round picks is a big deal. When they introduce him on Monday Night Football, Walter Nolen went to Ole Miss, right? Forever. That's what it'll always be. And he's going to go into the NFL, and he's going to have a long career because he's an elite-level football player. But what Walter Nolen going to Ole Miss and then becoming a first-round pick means, it's you can go to Ole Miss, and they already have such success in the portal, but the confirmation of you can go to Ole Miss and get better and become an NFL draft pick. Walter Nolen had a thing after he left Texas A&M. He goes to Ole Miss, has an outstanding season, becomes a first-round pick. And that is a really significant thing that Pete Golding and his defensive staff and the program as a whole can point to now, as he had to go from another SEC school. He had to leave there to go to Ole Miss to reach his full potential. That's a big thing that they can start using in recruiting now. And it's a big thing nationally that you pay attention to. This Walter Nolen this time last year was not the 16th pick in the draft. What wasn't going to be. If he'd have continued at Texas A&M, he wouldn't have been this. But he goes to Ole Miss and he became that. And that's a really significant deal for the program. And of course, again, really excited for the individual player. It's a big payday. It's a good spot. Hopefully this goes better than the last defensive tackle that was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, but I have an inkling that it's most certainly going to at least go better than the last one, for sure. So that's Walter Nolen. Outstanding stuff there. The next one is Jaxson Dart, the quarterback, always being the bell cow of every draft. That's all anybody can talk about, myself included. And this is exactly what we talked about it becoming for Ole Miss. This was a very significant night. We talked about it on Tuesday. This was one of the very few things that Lane Kiffin was missing at Ole Miss, was getting a first-round pick at quarterback. And it just so happens to be the Giants, of course, the same place where Eli Manning won a couple of Super Bowl MVPs. But extremely happy for Jaxson. You guys know his story by now. You know how he got to Ole Miss, and I mean, you know this. He didn't want to leave USC, but there was a coaching change, and Caleb Williams comes in, and he has to hit the portal when he didn't really want to, and goes to Ole Miss, and the initial time there, he talked about it with Gruden. You know, it wasn't perfect, right? He had to fight off Luke Altmaier, who's doing a very good job at Illinois, by the way, and just kept growing as a player and kept growing as a player, and then had to fight off Spencer Sanders as well. And then it turned into, okay, here's this talented quarterback that Ole Miss has too. Here's a guy that has taken responsibility of the roster, not the offense, not the position, but the roster. And I used the analogy on Tuesday. He plays like looks like California plays like Pittsburgh. The Gruden thing last night was outstanding, but the way he played, you know, the toughness, the lowering his shoulder, willing to take hits. I mean, there's a lot of big moments and big wins mixed in there as well. But Jaxson Dart became everything that you hoped he would be when Ole Miss signed him out of the transfer portal a few years ago. This is a big night for Lane Kiffin. It's a big night for Ole Miss. It's obviously a big night for Jaxson Dart. And now we'll see if New York can take another Ole Miss quarterback and have him become another Super Bowl winner. But this was always going to be, I think this was always going to be the most likely scenario. Again, like I said before, Hayden and I talked about this a lot. The Saints at 9 never really made any sense. I know that there was a CBS reporter that put it out there, but I was immediately dismissive of that. It never made sense for New Orleans to do that. They could have traded back in like the Giants did. That didn't make sense. What made the most sense was one of these teams, New York, Cleveland, somebody like that was going to take best available and trade back into the first round and take somebody like Dart somewhere in the 20s. And so the prophecy is fulfilled, as a lot of people are saying on social media. And it is it's a really cool thing, really big night. I really like Brian Daboll. I think that there's a chance that he does right by Jaxson and is not thrown into a situation where he struggles and is thrown into a starting role. They do have Jameis there, which I think can help Jaxson, not only because Jameis is a good locker room guy, but you would think if Jackson's not immediately ready to be day one starter, they don't throw him and force him into that situation. So it's a good spot. Ideally, it would have been LA, but they're clearly not interested in drafting a quarterback in the first round this year. So if not LA and not Pittsburgh, where he probably would have started right away, depending on Rodgers, it does end up being New York. Also, uh, the Giants GM's son spoiled this on Instagram last night. Accidentally tweeted a custom made Jaxson Dart highlight reel on his Instagram, and then he deleted it and made it private. So he kind of got tipped off on the pick last night. But I know I'm kind of scatterbrained. I like to have prepared thoughts, and I didn't have any because I was just kind of waiting for things to happen. So forgive me if that was just incoherent rambling. But long story short, very good night for Ole Miss football, and you're about to have a very good weekend for Ole Miss football. More players are getting drafted as the weekend continues, but having a first-round pick quarterback pays long-term dividends, especially if he has the success that you know that he certainly can. But this will pay long-term dividends for Ole Miss football. And what else can I say? It's a big night. So do a couple more ads, and then I'll get to your comments, and we'll see if the Bills, because I'm seeing somebody right now say that the Bills at 30 could be a really good landing spot for Trey Amos. So maybe we've got a third one to talk about tonight. So anyway. Podcast is brought to you in part by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online at absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered. If you're a Mississippi business, and I mean anywhere in Mississippi, and you're in the market for office technology, anything from copiers and printers and mail machines to cloud storage, data security, IT projects, phone systems, whatever it is, if it's technology, if it's in the office, and your Mississippi business needs it, check them out online at absms.com. Advantage Business Systems. Don't forget to tell them that I sent you. The podcast is also brought to you in part by Priority One Bank. They make you their priority. They have local loan servicing and decision-making. So you don't need to hop on Zoom or talk to somebody out of state. If you need a loan or you have a loan with them and you need it serviced, then Priority One Bank will sit down with you face-to-face and build a relationship with you because, again, Priority One Bank makes you their priority. All right, to the comments we go, and we'll see if Trey Amos gets picked up here with the last few picks. I do often forget how long it takes. I mean, this just takes forever. I mean, we are 3 hours in 11 minutes into the draft, and we are not even at pick 30 yet. So anyway, here we go. Hotty Toddy from Alabama. Always look forward to your stream. Appreciate you, man. Glad you're here. Still hoping for some Chris Beard magic in the portal. You'll get some. You will get some. These commentators are, best part is Sanders still waiting. Yeah. Isn't it past your bedtime? Yes, it is very much past my bedtime. I saw some of the commentary like you guys did. The way that Shedeur Sanders has been covered tonight has been just horrendous is what it's been, especially through ESPN. I mean, they were especially awful. Mel Kiper tonight was having just like a full-on meltdown every time a pick would go by and Shedeur Sanders wasn't selected. I mean, he spent the majority of the reaction to the Giants picking Dart talking about Shedeur Sanders. It was his fall was coming. This fall, frankly, was expected by a lot of people. There was a clear and obvious string of issues in the pre-draft process. And for some reason, people in today's sports media, especially like the new versions of sports media, are just completely unable to criticize. Or for some reason, they grab on to something like this because, they liked Dion when he was a player or whatever, or they're like addicted to YouTube. And so because you get to see Dion on YouTube, that suddenly everything that he does is great. The way that they've handled this draft process has been bad. He was not a good enough quarterback to act the way he did. And it's off-putting to NFL teams. The quarterback position is about more than just throwing a football, in which he does it well, but it's not like the best you've ever seen. The sideshow that comes with him is a deterrent for NFL teams. the body language, the throwing teammates under the bus. Those are all things that have happened very publicly. It's not like Joel Klatt was just roasting the anonymous sources today. No, no, no. All of that stuff happened publicly. He publicly threw his teammates under the bus. You can watch the video of him doing it. The body language is clear, and I'm going off on a tangent about somebody that's not who you're here to talk about. But this fall should not surprise anybody. And yet people are acting surprised and melting down live on ESPN. The fall shouldn't surprise them. They should have seen this coming. NFL teams, despite very often being very bad at drafting, it does happen. It is not an exact science, but they don't like sideshows from players that aren't good enough to deal with the sideshow. You'll take a player that's a head case if they're an elite player. When you're not elite, when you're good, but it comes with a bunch of crap and question marks that are very publicly known, then you're gonna fall at the most important position that franchises are mortgaging their future. Multi-billion-dollar franchises are not going to mortgage their future on a sideshow. They're not going to do it. So people acting surprised, they shouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Dart to the Saints would have been my preference, but the Giants historically love Ole Miss quarterbacks. Charlie Connerly. I forgot about Connerly, too. Goodness gracious, what a run. If Dart can have the same career as Connerly and Eli, that'll be just fine. Eli better be calling the Giants and make sure they don't give Dart the treatment Corral got in Carolina. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much that Carolina could have done. Wasn't expected for Dart to go to New York. As with all draft coverage, you get a lot of up and down and around with this team likes this guy, this team likes this guy, this team's going to trade up, this guy's not going past whatever. But yes, something that was very consistently reported on from reputable people from the jump was that the New York Giants really liked Jaxson Dart. It also came with a caveat of they don't like him at 3, but they do really like him. And so what happened tonight was the most likely scenario, and sure enough, it absolutely came true. So it was really cool to see Weiss and Walker Howard in Utah. Yeah. Thoughts on what the Saints will do tomorrow, and do you like picking Shuck at 40? I think that's how you say his last name, by the way. I mean, I guess I get it if they go with him at 40. It's just a shame what Derek Carr has done to the outlook of this team. It really is. It sucks. I mean, Shador might be there at 40, although apparently the Saints are just reportedly just not interested at all. But him at 40 is fine to me. The Louisville quarterback, if you guys aren't familiar, him at 40 is fine. I would be fine with that. What they did tonight, I like. It's a boring pick. The Red Beans and Rice guy put it on Twitter so eloquently. It's a washing machine. Nobody gets excited about washing machines, but man, having a good one is a luxury, right? He's a washing machine. They drafted best available on the offensive line, and they need help on the offensive line. It's boring. Nobody's going to buy season tickets as a result, but you win games in the trenches. And so picking a boring, very talented offensive lineman from a power conference, because Trevor Penning, you saw it, he had a hard time making the jump from the FCS to the FBS. And look, players do it, don't get me wrong, but you have a lot of quality tape on him going up against the best players in college football, and he has performed extremely well, and it's boring, but it's good. Good move for the Giants. Whereas Corral, he should be in the NFL. I mean, he's in the UFL. I think that the likelihood of him being on an NFL roster long-term is slim. He unfortunately kind of cost himself in that regard. He just did. Jaxson Dart's the new Herbert for the East Coast now. I don't hate that one. Thoughts on Pierce entering the portal could mean disaster for Kiffin. Yeah, I forgot he existed. I totally forgot he existed. But yeah, you're not keeping 4 quarterbacks on your roster. What you're always going to get one that leaves. And I mean, when they brought in the guy from Ferris State, kind of figured that somebody was going to go. But I know you're just joking. Such a big night for Ole Miss football. It's huge. It's huge, and it's not over yet. I am still curious to see if Trey Amos can slip his way back into the first round, but we'll see. I'm going to try to hang on as long as we can to see if that actually does happen, so we can talk about that as well. But yes, regardless of what happens with the final 5 picks or final 4 picks in the draft, right? Because they just picked 28. Um, it's a massive night for Ole Miss. It's a massive night for Ole Miss because they can point to Walter Nolen was not going to be in this position without his time at Ole Miss. And then, of course, developing a quarterback into a first-round pick is a really significant deal, no doubt. 2 players in the first round, and not many colleges going to have 2 in this year first round. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a rare thing. It's that's why it's so special. Ole Miss hasn't had a first-round pick since 2017. I mean, this is a very special night. You cannot overstate it. Giants did pretty well tonight, I thought. It's a dream scenario. It's an absolute dream scenario for the Giants. Elite. They got an elite player that they didn't have to trade for, and then they came back into the first round after after kind of waiting it out, right? And they turn around and get the quarterback that they loved. I mean, it's great drafting for them. Great drafting. Mel Kiper ripped Dart when he got picked. Man, he's so salty that his number 1 player, Sanders, is flopping. And you know what the funny part is? Mel Kiper said that Dart disappears in big games, and somehow Shedeur Sanders does not disappear in big games? I don't understand it. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Sorry about that. So the Commanders are going offensive line at 29. So the Bills now are on the clock at 30, and that could be where he goes. We'll see. Sanders has to prove he can be humble and operate at a high level outside of daddy's system. And that's another thing. He's only been coached by his dad. I mean, that's a problem. What's it going to be like when he's not there? Dart earned this, a class guy who worked his tail off. Absolutely. But without a doubt. He's and Hunter, I'm sorry I'm skipping you, man. I love you to death. I'm just not going to talk about Mississippi State basketball portal pickups right now. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it right now. But yes, Dart earned this. He is the way he took ownership of the program, as I said before. I think it's unique and special. And think about it, guys, in the portal era, I know he was at Ole Miss for years, right? But how often do you hear people talk about, well, they're mercenaries, or all they care about is the money? And now, don't get me wrong, Jaxson got paid a lot to play quarterback at Ole Miss, but he was one of the OG college football players, right? The guy that actually went to the school and then truly did a lot and cared for the place in which he played, right? And there was a lot of emotion, and some of it was a knock on him after the LSU and after the Florida games, for example. But he poured a lot of himself very clearly into the Ole Miss football program. And in a time where it's all about me and it's all about that, to watch a guy pour all of himself into a program and then turn around and get rewarded for it by being a first-round draft pick is really cool. It's just really cool. And Nolen got the pick he deserved, an absolute beast. Those 13 games that he played this year, I mean, he was constantly doubled or tripled, and he played double hurt, right? It was a hand injury and then like an ankle injury. I think he played through both of those, and I mean, just completely flipped the narratives on their heads. He was a joy to watch play this year. I mean, you're right, just an absolute beast. And it's a shame, of all teams in the NFL, I think I watched the Cardinals the least. I don't know why that is. I just obviously not in the Saints division, but for some reason we just don't get to see the Cardinals very much. So now we'll have to make it a point to go watch them. His fall is going to show college players what not to do before the NFL draft. Ego got too big, and NFL teams don't like that. And for some reason, um, people don't realize that NFL locker rooms are filled with adult men, right? Now, there are a lot of guys in NFL locker rooms that, don't act like it, but the majority of them are grown men with wives and children, right? They're adults, and they expect their quarterback, their team leader, to be an adult. And when that's how you spend your the process in which you are supposed to put your best foot forward, and that's the way it was put out there. And what I can't stand about the way the media operates. Everybody focused on Shador and, well, why is he falling? And I promise you're gonna get garbage all day on ESPN, just garbage about his fall. And nobody will talk about Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick. Watch that tomorrow. Watch. Nobody will talk about Cam Ward. Why? Why not? Because Cam Ward did the process right. He didn't even have an agent, by the way. Didn't have an agent. Like, that mature is able to go through this without an agent, by the way. But do you hear anything about Cam Ward? Did you hear anything through this process about what the Titans are concerned about with Cam Ward, or what teams are concerned about with Cam Ward? Did you see any of that? I didn't. I looked for it. It's not there, because he did the process the right way. And so you're going to have it tomorrow. It's going to be garbage. And the fact that Jaxson Dart's big moment that he worked his entire life for was clouded because there's some butthurt at ESPN is just, it's shameful. But people are going to compare Shador Sanders to Jaxson Dart tomorrow. And it's going to be emotional. And it's going to probably be unnecessary and ugly. But nobody's going to talk about Cam Ward. Cam Ward did the process right. That's why he went number 1 overall. Act like Cam Ward. Act like Jaxson Dart. And you'll get drafted. As soon as we saw that trade, I think everyone knew it was Jaxson. 100%. The second the Giants traded up, it was over. It was that was Jaxson Dart. But anyway. Giants have a better history with quarterbacks, and Dart's ties to Ole Miss and Eli. It's a full circle thing, no doubt. I believe it's a great fit. Dart did look amazing on Gruden's show. I really enjoyed that. I really like John Gruden a lot. And I also really like that John Gruden confirmed some things that we talked about back during football season, that he was scratching his head about a lack of quick passing game out of the Ole Miss offense. And when we talked about that here, just hearing a Super Bowl winning coach say that is something that they should have done felt really good. March Manning to the Saints after a tank job. Oh, no. With our luck, Pat, we're going to get Drew Aller. Joe said the ultimate fan pack John Gruden got from Ole Miss, that thing was incredible, wasn't it? Thousands of dollars of gear in there. It'll be hilarious if Milroe goes before Sanders. Buddy, I'm trying to keep up as best I can, but if it hadn't happened yet, I wouldn't be surprised if it does at this point. So have the Bills taken it 30 yet? Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm such an idiot. I said earlier that Jameis is there to help. Russell Wilson is there in New York, which, again, I talked about Jameis and not Russell Wilson. Dummy over here. But that's good for Jaxson. It's good for Jaxson. He doesn't have to step right in and start right away. He can watch and learn. And Russell Wilson's a Super Bowl winner. He's kind of weird, but you can learn a lot as a quarterback from a guy like Russell Wilson. So this is really good for Jaxson. And again, Brian Daboll apparently in his press conference made it clear that Russell Wilson will start for them this year, and Jaxson is the quarterback of the future. which again is very, very good for him. I cannot believe I'm so stupid that I talked about Jameis without without that. Okay, so the Eagles and the Chiefs are switching spots. The Buffalo pick is in. It is a corner, but it's not Trey Amos. It is Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky. So it is not Trey Amos. But there's still 2 more picks. We'll see. We will see. Tomorrow might be a very busy day for Ole Miss. So Dart will definitely look good still wearing red and blue. Yeah. Was a casual Giants fan on the side for Eli for years. Now I guess I'll do the same again. Yeah, a lot of the Ole Miss fans that became Giants fans because of Eli, you don't have to change. You're good. You're good. You just keep on plugging with your fandom. After Eli retired, I just supported Ole Miss. Players in the NFL did not really have an NFL favorite team because the Giants were my team. Now I can be a Giants fan again. Yeah, you just keep all that gear. Hope you didn't throw it away. Hope you didn't throw it away. The commentators almost had a stroke when Dart went above Sanders. Frankly, I thought ESPN was just really bad all day today. All day today. I had some like early morning draft coverage on when I was doing some work here, and it was awful. And it was bad all night. The NFL Network did a better job, and even they, I thought, we're so obsessed with one narrative when there's 32 teams picking 32 players tonight. Anyway, hope the Saints can get one of Judkins, Burden, or Henderson at 40 tomorrow. I have a feeling they're going to go quarterback. I have a feeling that's what they're going to do. They need one. I mean, it's right now. It's Carr's not going to play for them this year. That's over. So right now it's Rattler and Jake Haener. I mean, you can't go into a season like that unless they get into. I mean, who's available? I mean, they could try to get into the Rodgers sweepstakes, which if that's the case, I'll just ram my head into a wall over here. Funny the parallels. First round Ole Miss quarterback goes to New York, and the insane, physically talented interior lineman goes to the Cardinals with Nolen and Kimdichie. Yeah, unfortunately, there is the one half of that parallel. That's not ideal, but yeah. Didn't like sitting out the bowl game, but did the process correctly. Absolutely. Personally, you wanted Abdul Carter, but okay with Ward. The Titans are poverty, though. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about that a little bit, where if you're the Titans, do you love any of these quarterbacks? And if not, just go ahead and get Abdul Carter and figure it out later. But yeah. Cam Ward, 30 for 30, going from 0 stars to success is going to be awesome if he makes it happen. Here's the thing, though. That happens a lot. There's a lot of no-star recruits that make it in the NFL. So, but yeah, it is a really cool story. Jihad Campbell goes 31 to the Eagles. The Eagles in drafting quality defensive players, man. They are just unbelievable at it. So, one more pick tonight in the draft to see if so it's the Chiefs now. Chiefs are on the clock, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, for the final pick in the draft. We'll see what they do. Anyway. Sitting behind a guy like Russ can be very valuable for Jackson, no doubt. Hype the Cards got Nolen. Man, you're the first Arizona Cardinals fan I've ever encountered in my life. Enjoy him. He's a hell of a player. He really is. So I don't recognize your name. I don't think I've seen you in here before. So if you are a Cardinals fan looking for some Nolen reaction, welcome. He has elite traits at basically everything. The quickness, the get off the snap, the physicality, the ability to take on double teams. He's just simply elite. Guys like him don't grow on trees very much. And all the stuff, Lewis, that they said on the broadcast tonight about him was true at Texas A&M. And you know, maybe that'll be true again. But for 13 games at Ole Miss, that dude was absolutely dominant. Absolutely dominant. The bad attitude, taking plays off stuff is not what I saw. in his time at Ole Miss. That doesn't mean what they said wasn't true before, but your boy's got a good one. Gruden's awesome. No way Kellen Moore takes Drew Aller. Yeah, Drew Aller, it does not seem like he fits what Kellen Moore is going to try to do at all, but I'm just being cynical right now. This is just yours. This first round going faster than other years. We are 3.5 hours into it. You're crazy, man. You are crazy. Without Trey Harris's injury, he'd have been drafted tonight. I do agree with that. And I don't think he's getting out of the second round tomorrow. I don't think he's getting out of the second round tomorrow. So, by the way, SB Nation, which I guess is still a functioning website, they're doing immediate draft grades, and it's just nothing but A's and B's and C plus. Like immediate draft grades, like giving a letter grade is kind of goofy, but it's just like they give everybody a fine grade. If you're going to do something, go out on a limb. Austin, thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Looks like you're going to be a Giants fan again. Love you too, man. Thank you for that. What did I think of the Browns-Jags trade? I thought the Browns fleeced them. I agree. I agree completely. And if you're the Jags, kind of reached for a defensive lineman there. But, excuse me. If you're the Browns, you kind of reached for the defensive lineman there at fifth. I probably would have gone elsewhere, but I love what the Browns did. They completely screwed themselves with the Deshaun Watson trade, obviously. They cost themselves a lot of assets. Still got a quality player, although, again, it's a bit of a reach. But still, that defensive line is going to be pretty nasty, and they have some assets now. There's a lot to like about what Cleveland's got. And, yes, I agree. They fleeced them. But let's see. Still have not seen the 32nd pick yet. That has not happened yet. Does Cleveland select Shador at 33 tomorrow? I wouldn't be surprised. I really would not be surprised. And Coach Prime in Cleveland will crack me up. So Nolen was a run-stopping monster. He was a pass-rushing monster too. But yeah. I think the Giants won the draft tonight and Cleveland. Eagles haven't picked yet either. They have, but they just haven't announced it on the broadcast yet. You got to be on Twitter, man. Twitter tells you like 5 minutes before the actual draft gets announced, but they went with Jihad Campbell. So anyway, we'll just wait. We'll wait for this last pick, and then we'll hang it up. We'll see what happens. But regardless, guys, it's a big night. It's an absolutely huge night for Ole Miss football, for Lane Kiffin, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting what happened here for the program. So just going to keep refreshing and scrolling. Really looking forward to seeing Jackson's press conference tomorrow, by the way. So the draft picks get flown in. He will fly to New York either tonight or early tomorrow morning. And he'll do the facility tour, and they will have a press conference with the New York media tomorrow. So that'll be really cool. That'll be really cool. Tonight was a statement for the defensive line development for Ole Miss. Yeah, and just wait, right? Because they're not done. What if Chris Paul gets drafted tomorrow? Right, that'll be another one where he wasn't in this position at Arkansas. He had to leave Arkansas to go to Ole Miss to put himself in that position. Trey Amos was a backup at Alabama. He was not a starter at Alabama. He goes to Ole Miss and he gets picked in the second round. That is that is a big deal. So you don't have to be just a first round pick, as you know, of course. But you don't have to be just a first round pick to be an example of what happens when you go and play for Pete Golding. This is a big deal for Pete Golding, and tomorrow is going to be a big deal for Pete Golding because you guys saw it. There were some people that thought it was a bad hire for Ole Miss because how is he going to recruit when he doesn't have an A on his chest? Well, he's going to do it really well because he's good at it. Oh, well, he sucked at Alabama. No, he didn't. Look at the their ranking in every major statistical category. He had great defenses at Alabama. And so this is validation, even though he didn't need it, but he's getting it anyway. This is validation that Pete Golding doesn't need an A on his chest to produce and create high level defensive players. So, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, this is another thing that you can just build off of, that the program can just build off of. The momentum is huge because of stuff like this. So, still not seeing a. Okay, so Shedeur Sanders not going in the first round, but I don't see anybody saying that what the pick at 32 is. Either way, it's not going to be Shedeur, though, because you know that Kansas City's not picking him. So think about how big that Gator Bowl was for Dart. It was huge. It was huge. He was fully healthy, and that was a Duke defense that had a lot of good players on it, and that was NFL teams' first look at him. And when he was healthy, I mean, he made every throw that night. He made every single throw that night. And playing in the game absolutely increased his stock. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. All right, so the Chiefs go offensive line in the first round. So official, and that's it. Ole Miss has 2 first-round picks, Walter Nolen, Jaxson Dart. Big night. Big weekend upcoming as well. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about it. Also baseball, by the way. But we'll be back on Sunday to talk about it. That'll be a great time, I think, because you've got, I mean, the Treys, Amos and Harris are going to get picked, obviously. Jared Ivey, J.J. Pegues, Princely. There's a lot more coming for Ole Miss this weekend. So we'll be back on Sunday to talk about it all, and, of course, the baseball weekend. But I am going to go to bed. So you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will see you on Sunday. Yes, and I do agree with you. I think Ole Miss will get 2 out of 3 this weekend. So see you guys on Sunday.